Once upon a time, the people of Uli were faced with tremendous fear. Whispers of missing villagers hung heavy in the air, and this made the people concerned as no one knew why people were vanishing. It all began with the disappearance of a kind-hearted young man named Obunneme. Obumneme had gone to the farm one fateful day to harvest some crops for his sick mother, and he never returned. His mother waited for hours, but Obumneme never came back. Fearing the worst, she sought the help of the village youth who rallied to find him. They searched and searched and searched, combing the village as their voices echoed his name, but Obumneme was nowhere to be found. The villagers, in their desperation, whispered that perhaps the burden of caring for his sick mother had driven him away. His mother's heart shattered at such speculation because she knew that her son would never leave her alone in her condition. Obumneme loved his mother so much and has been looking after her since he was young. Although the villagers believed that Obumneme ran away, his mother knew that something terrible might have happened to her son. Days passed and another heart-wrenching disappearance occurred, this time a young girl. This raised an alarm as it was unusual for two people to go missing in the village within the space of 2 days. The village chief then called for a meeting of the council of chiefs where one of the chiefs, Mazi Osadebe, suggested that the village seeks the help of the popular vigilante boys who lived in a neighboring village to investigate the cause of the disappearances. The village chief agreed to Mazi Osadebe's suggestion, and the vigilante boys were invited into the village. The young vigilantes patrolled the village daily, but still the villagers continued to go missing. People were now grappled with fear as many decided to lock themselves up in their huts to ensure that nothing happened to them. One hot afternoon, a girl named Mma had a heated argument with her mother. Filled with anger, Mma left their hut despite her mother's stern warning. She was on her way to her best friend's house when suddenly she woke up in a very dark room, surrounded by several other villagers who had gone missing. Mma was so confused as the last thing she could remember was walking to her friend's hut that afternoon. "How did I get here?" she thought to herself as shivers ran down her spine. Mma was now filled with regret as she wished she listened to her dear mother. A few hours later, some men wearing a mask walked into the dark room and brought in some more villagers. Mma was terrified as many terrifying scenarios ran through her mind. She tried to speak to the other villagers but noticed that she could not speak. This was strange as her mouth seemed intact, but all efforts to speak proved futile. Mma then noticed that all the other villagers too could not speak. It then dawned on her that they were under a spell which suppressed their ability to speak. For days, Mma and the other villagers were locked up in the dark room. Their legs and hands were in shackles as they sat in one place helpless. They had no way of escaping and hoped that the gods would send someone to rescue them from the hands of the masked men. One hot afternoon, a very beautiful girl was captured and brought into the dark room where Mma and the other villagers were held hostage. When Mma saw the girl, she wondered who the girl was, as the room was too dark for her to make out the girl's face. The men in masks placed some shackles on the girl's arms and feet and left her in the room with Mma and the other villagers. A few minutes later, Mma noticed that the hostages were all feeling drowsy. She tried to stay awake but noticed that her eyes too were heavy. Before Mma knew what was happening, she fell into a very deep sleep. By the time she woke up, she noticed that her shackles had been removed and that she could also talk. All the villagers were also free, and everyone began to murmur in disbelief as they could not understand what was happening. Mma and the other villagers walked out of the dark room and saw their captors in shackles and chains, screaming frantically. Mma immediately recognized the masked men as the men the village chief hired to investigate the disappearances in the village. What had happened was that the masked men captured a beautiful girl who was walking in the village alone. Little did they know that she was a ghost. The ghost girl was Obumneme's sister who died many years ago. She heard the cry of her old mother after her brother Obumneme was captured and sought to rescue her beloved brother. To ensure that Obumneme did not recognize her, the ghost girl cast a spell, sending all into a deep slumber. Even their masked captors too fell asleep, and by the time they woke up, they noticed that the villagers were all free whilst they were all in shackles. The villagers were so happy that their captors had been caught, and they now bundled them to the hut of the village chief. It was then that the men confessed that Maazi Osadebe was the mastermind behind the disappearances of the villagers. Maazi Osadebe and the vigilante boys were working hand in hand to kidnap the villagers to sell as slaves. They were told to provide 40 slaves. However, the ghost girl was supposed to be their last victim, but unfortunately for them, they never knew that they were kidnapping a ghost. Maazi Osadebe, in a bid not to be suspected, suggested to the village chief to employ the help of the vigilante boys to investigate the strange disappearances. Little did the village leader know that Maazi Osadebe and the vigilante boys were the ones behind everything that was happening. The boys also revealed that they used a very potent powder from a juju man to make their victims fall asleep instantly, as this made it easy for them to be kidnapped. The village leader could not believe his ears. He ordered that Maazi Osadebe and the vigilante boys be locked in the village prison forever. The villagers were all excited to see their loved ones again, as they thanked the gods for preserving and saving their lives. Mma returned to her mother, who was also excited to see her. She apologized for her stubbornness and also promised to always listen to her mother. Obumneme also went back home to his old sick mother, who told him that his late sister's spirit paid her a visit, promising that he would soon return. Tears rolled down her eyes as she knew that her son would never abandon her no matter what happened. In the end, the village of Uli found solace in justice served and the enduring bonds of family and community. The lesson to be learned from this story is that deceit and greed always catches up with those who engage in them, leading to their downfall and punishment. When faced with problems in life, it is important to remain hopeful and never give up. Also, do not make irrational decisions when angry, as oftentimes than not, these decisions always lead to regrets. I hope you enjoyed the story.
Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps us grow our channel. I'll see you in our next story. Bye.